Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November 11th regular meeting of the Gorham School Committee. I will call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was amazing. And may I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mia DeSanctis.
Here.
Michelle Littlefield.
Here.
Alistair.
Here.
Sarah Perkins.
Here.
Eric Thistle.
Here.
Jennifer Whitehead.
Here.
And Nicole Yeo-Fisher.
Here.
Okay. Moving on to 1.3, approval of the regular meeting minutes of September 11th and October 9th, 2024, and the special meetings of October 2nd and October 23rd, 2024.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Stewart, second by Michelle. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Moving on to 1.4, annual organization. I'll turn the meeting over to Superintendent Perry.
Yes, so thank you. This is our annual organizational meeting, and as you know, this is a time in which we elect a new chair to serve for the remainder of the year and a new vice chair to serve for the remainder of the year. What I'm going to do right now is just go through the process for nomination of a new chair, and then once the chair is elected, the chair will then go through the process for nomination of a vice chair. So here we will begin. I would, at this point in time, like to request nominations from the floor for a chair.
I'd like to nominate Sarah Perkins.
Nomination from Stewart. Is there a second?
Second.
Jen, seconding. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close nominations. Then we're going to do a vote to approve Sarah as the chair. So all those in favor of Sarah Perkins as the chair? It looks like you're it, Sarah. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. And now moving on, is there a nomination for vice chair of the committee? Michelle.
I would like to nominate Nicole Yeo-Fisher for vice chair.
Michelle nominates Nicole Yeo-Fisher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mia. Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Seeing none, all those in favor? What?
Yep, we're good.
7-0.
Thank you.
All right. And then I will just quickly read aloud. We had an organizational meeting prior to this and determined committee assignments. For the Finance and Facilities Committee, the chairperson of that will be Michelle, myself and Stewart as members. Policy Committee, the chair is Mia, with Jen and Eric also on the committee. The Personnel and Communications Committee will be chaired by Michelle with Nicole and Stewart as members. The Anti-Racism and Equity Committee will be chaired by Nicole. The Teaching and Learning Committee member will be Eric. The Dropout Prevention Committee member will be Mia. The Vocational Education Committee member will be Jen. The Wellness Committee member will be Eric. The Fiscal Sustainability Committee members will be Michelle and Jen. All right. Moving on to 2.0 administrative reports. Are there any questions from these? No? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much to those that put those together. They are very informative. We're going to take, oh no, we're not going to take this out of order. This is an additional, we're adding an item this evening. 2.2 program review, Great Falls Book Buddies. So we'll go ahead and kick that off.
Great, come on up, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Becky Fortier. I'm the principal at Great Falls Elementary School. This is Deanna Etienne. She's our assistant principal, and we're so excited to be here. Our kindergarten and fifth grade students will be talking about a program that is near and dear to our heart, our Book Buddies. Every single classroom is matched up, older classrooms with younger classrooms, for this special project. I want to thank our kindergarten teacher, Mary Jo Lyons, for being here with her students, and our fifth grade teacher, Missy Mullen. But the stars of the show are yet to come, so I'm going to hand it over, and Declan is going to kick us off.
Hello, school committee members. Thank you for having us at your meeting. My name is Declan Bacon, and I'm here with other students from Great Falls to talk about our Book Buddy program. Book Buddies is a fun program where older students are paired with younger students to help with reading. We meet every week and talk about stories, read together, do crafts, or even math projects related to books. The older students get to be great role models and mentors for younger students.
There, nice job.
My name is Jack. I love meeting with my book buddies.
Good job, Jack.
My name is Piper, and Book Buddies helps younger students in so many ways. They get better at reading and feel more confident with each session. It's awesome to see our little buddies light up when they start to read their word wall books to us. Watching them grow and feel proud of themselves makes it a really fun experience for everyone. For older students, Book Buddies is also a big deal. We get a chance to be leaders and practice teaching skills. It helps us learn how to communicate better with younger kids and be more patient and understanding. Being a book buddy means we're learning as much as they are. Meet my book buddy, Lucy.
I love seeing my book buddies at school. They give me a high five, and that makes me so happy.
Very nice.
Hello, I'm Maddie, and what I love most about being a book buddy is the fun we have reading together. Every Friday, I look forward to meeting up with my little book buddy. Reading with a supportive partner really helps kids feel more comfortable and confident. This program connects students across different grades, creating friendships and strengthening our school community.
I don't think you need to stand. My name is Joseph, and the best thing about Book Buddies is that we get to read cool books, make new friends, and get better at reading. It's so much fun sharing stories. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Do you have any questions about Book Buddies?
Right. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Nicole?
Oh, good.
Is there a favorite book that you like to read?
Normally we just read either what the buddy had when we got there, or books that we picked out from our library for our book club.
Any other questions?
You can say something.
We usually read.
He's good. He's answering that question. Yeah, go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We're reading books with our book buddies, and we have a great time, and we stay still all the time, and we never keep moving.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Sure, Jen.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming in. You made our nights, and we're so proud of you. You're doing such great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. You are welcome to stay, but you don't have to stay. I'm guessing that there might be a picture out in the hallway.
Yes. Thank you.
They did such a good job. I love the step stool. Oh, you're ringing. That's cool.
Hello? How's that? Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
What's he doing?
How's that?
Nope.
All right, I'm just going to talk really loud, and he'll come down in a minute to fix it. Sorry to the two of you.
It's all right.
Okay, we're going to take an item out of order and move on to 2.4 program review, adult education program review. Superintendent Perry.
Yes, so I've asked Ms. Khan, Bridget, to come up, and Bridget is our new adult education director this year in Gorham, and I wanted her to share a little bit about her program and the adult education program offered here in Gorham. So I think she has some information to share tonight, and certainly I would ask that if you have questions at the end, to please feel free to ask those questions of Bridget.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me tonight. I'm really excited to share with you about our program and about adult education. As Heather said, I just started this summer, and I've met some of you before, being on my interview committees. So I have a presentation that I want to share. Let's see if I'm able to. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not that familiar with Canva. And I also have to say that Heather told me 10 minutes, and if I'm going too long, please let me know. So I have been learning a lot about this community and about this program. I recently came from Portland Adult Ed, and so yes, lots of things that I could bring with me, but so much that I've been learning here and so much that I've been appreciating about this community and about this Adult Ed program. Heather let me know that many people are new to the committee, and so I wanted to just share a little bit of background about adult ed in general, because many people don't realize that we are part of a state system. So in addition to being part of the district and having reporting to the superintendent and to the school committee, we also report to the Maine DOE. There is a state Department of Adult Ed, and there are 78 other local programs throughout the state that are all connected to their local districts. And so I just wanted to give you some kind of an overview, a little bit of the impact of adult education in Maine. So last academic year, nearly 13,000 students took part in classes ranging from English acquisition to workforce training, high school completion, and preparing for college. And you can just see a little bit from this graph about who the students are. And one thing that I want you to notice is that 50% of adult ed students are in that 25 to 44 range. So the age of people who are preparing for and the largest part of our workforce. So adult ed has a huge impact on the economic growth and development of Maine. So just to kind of dig into that a little bit, there were 1,000 medical credentials issued. That healthcare is a huge focus, obviously, for adult education right now because of the huge labor shortage, and it's one of the biggest growth industries in Maine. Also, as Gorham has been a part of for many years, there was credentials in commercial driver's license, welding, business technology, and digital skills. 972 students either received a high school diploma or the equivalency in Maine last year. And so in the way that the adult eds are organized in Maine is by hubs. So there's 9 college and career development hubs, and Gorham is part of Hub 8. There are 9 other programs in that hub, and we meet monthly and we pool resources and expertise, and we go after shared funding together and things like that. And this year we have about $30,000 in grant funding that is comes from that hub. So we applied together to some state grants, and that's what we got. So I just wanted to kind of share with you a little bit of guiding principles around adult education, and specifically in Gorham and what I'm bringing. We are striving to provide educational and career training which meets the needs of both local employers and adult learners in Gorham. We're trying to break down barriers so that people can find success and and leverage their skills for family-sustaining, jobs that have family-sustaining wages. We're not in the business of just helping someone to their first goal. Adult Ed is here for people to come back to again and again as they're moving along their path. Another really important part of specifically Gorham Adult Ed is the enrichment programming. It's a really strong program for many, many years. The staff has developed it and created really strong partnerships with local teachers and students. And I think one thing that's really important for this committee to hear is how that is a population of people that are coming into our schools in the evenings to take classes that might not have any other connection with the district. They're often older and maybe don't have children in the school system anymore, and so it's a way to bring them in to both make them feel like their tax dollars are contributing to the education because the classes are very, very low cost, but also so that they can see what's happening. Many of our classes take place right in the middle school, so they get to see what's on the walls, they get to see the classroom, and kind of be part of our community. So in addition to that very strong enrichment program, the other parts of Gorham Adult Education are a high school equivalency. So that in Maine, that's the HiSET program. In Gorham, typically graduates about somewhere between 5 and 8 students per year with that diploma. We also provide academic advising and adult basic education. So that's for people whose either their educational skills are not ready to prepare for the HiSET. So people that have remediation that is needed before they're ready. English acquisition is a growing part of many adult ed programs in Maine and in Gorham as well. And then the workforce training. So just to give you a glimpse of what we've done so far this year, that enrichment, we offered this fall alone 91 unique classes. 402 people have taken those classes, and that has brought in almost $30,000 in revenue just up to this beginning of November. I think last year the total was $63,000. As far as our workforce training, next week, Quinton will be facilitating a substitute teacher training along with one of our teachers, Jill, who also is a teacher in Gorham Middle School. We're kind of adding this element of having a current teacher be part of the substitute teacher training in order to have people have a chance to ask questions. She's going to provide scenarios, and we purposely picked a middle school teacher so that she can talk about her love for that, because it is often the place that many people say that they don't want to go when they're subbing. One of the big projects of this year is leveraging the apprenticeship grant. I know that I'm sure you've heard a lot about the educator apprenticeship. At the same time that the district was awarded that, Adult Ed was awarded $340,000 in 2022 for healthcare apprenticeships, and we're getting that off the ground right now. We have just been approved to have 2 sub-sponsors, 2 different healthcare facilities that are hosting these apprentices, and we've had 4 accelerated classes graduate so far. We're also, as you probably know, that this Adult Ed in Gorham has been combined with Westbrook for many years, and so this is the first year that we're out on our own, which brings a lot of opportunities. I'm really excited about it, but it also means kind of building back who we are as an individual program, making sure that students and employers and community members know that we exist. And so the multilingual program is one of the big focuses for me and for our staff this year, and so we have 4 sections, levels beginner through level 5, which those levels kind of correlate to grade levels. So level 5 is about a 5th grade reading level. We are mostly offering these at the First Parish Congregational Church, where they have temporary housing for asylum seekers that opened last year. It's great because the residents that are living there can just come downstairs and take the classes, but we're also having other Gorham residents come as well. And we are considering our small high school equivalency program. So this is our current staffing structure. We really have one full-time employee, which is our program coordinator. With the combination of Gorham and Westbrook, the full-time position was reduced. We also have a school year admin who really serves as our enrichment coordinator. She's 0.75 in the school year, an evening admin. And then we have workforce and academic instructors, which are all paid on an hourly basis. But we do have at least 3 right now, so half of our staff are also district teachers. So we get to have the skills and experience of the teachers that are in our K-12 buildings come and teach in our evening classes as well. And then our enrichment program, which is our biggest part right now, we have 20 instructors, but those are not necessarily employees. We sometimes pay them as vendors. So I wanted to just give you a very quick look into what our focus is for 25 and 26. Again, we're really focusing on building and increasing visibility and making sure that we have both the staffing and the structures in place to serve students, and hopefully to serve an increase of students, because growth is one thing that we're really looking at. We know that the multilingual population is growing in this region, and we want to make sure that our programming matches that. So I'll just give you a little view of kind of our enrollment over the last 2 years, and then the year to date now. And you can see that perhaps because of the structure of the 2 programs being together, the enrollment, especially when we're talking about workforce training, all of that was housed in Westbrook. Almost entirely the multilingual program was housed in Westbrook. I think the same year that we served 12 students, they served like 300. And so I want to make sure that our program lives up to that too. Of course, we don't have the same population as Westbrook, but we know that people are here too that need this programming. So we want to make sure that that's available. Already this year, we've served almost as many workforce training students as we did the entire year last year, and our adult basic ed and high school equivalency program. Those numbers, not all of those people will graduate. People come, they kind of cycle in and out as they're available. And if for people that aren't familiar, the HiSET is 5 different subject exams that people need to have a cumulative score, passing score. So it can take a long time for people to be prepared for each of those subject tests. Last year, we graduated 7. We don't have any current graduates yet, but we have 2 people who are just 1 test away. So we're on our way. And then the biggest growth is in that multilingual program. This slide here kind of just shows you the multilingual enrollment. And we went from, single digits, even 0 in 2022. And at this time, we have 22 people who are actively engaged with the programming. And as I mentioned before, we're really focusing on those healthcare apprenticeships. Brentwood Rehab and Nursing Center and Gorham House are 2 of our sub-sponsors where we're hosting accelerated apprenticeships. And then we are developing with Brentwood Rehab a supported CNA. So the accelerated CNA is done in about 4 weeks. It's full-time, it's paid. So they are hired by Brentwood Rehab. They're paid about $17.50 an hour. During the training period, it's 32 hours a week for 4 weeks. And then when they complete, they're hired as CNAs, and they get a raise to $22 an hour. they continue in the apprenticeship program. So as part of that, they get a mentor. That mentor is working with them to help them check all of the skills that are needed to be a fully qualified CNA. And then at the end of that, when the mentor feels that the person has achieved those, they have completed their apprenticeship, and they're actually eligible for a $1,200 reimbursement from the state for being part of that. So in addition to that 4-week accelerated model, we are going to be launching in the new year a supported CNA, which will be targeted for people who need a slower, longer pace. Maybe it's because they're working and they need to split their schedule. Maybe it's because they are an English language learner and they need more support in reading comprehension before they're able to pass that test. We'll be building around not just the CNA curriculum, but foundational skills as well. So numeracy, work readiness skills, and digital literacy. So far, we have graduated 21 students. We have 6 more who will be graduating next week. And the current completion rate is 81%, which is really good, especially for an accelerated class where just people, for lots of reasons, might not be able to finish. So I'll just leave you with my 5-year vision for adult ed, which is that we are known and trusted in the community, both by students and employers, that we offer a robust and accessible programming, which is a full range from people who are seeking literacy skills to English language acquisition, high school, college, and career. We also want to make sure that we are integrated and a good partner with the district. We're working alongside the Aspire Gorham to develop dual pathways for programs that could serve both populations. So, for example, CDL has been very popular with the program ending in Westbrook. That hasn't been an option for our students, and Eliza and I have been working together to think about ways that we can continue that program without having to run a full CDL. And so that we would have something where it could be daytime for high school students, evening time for adult ed. So we'd be kind of using the resources to benefit both populations. So that's what I have so far. I'd love to answer questions. I also put on here my email, and also we'd love for anybody to come visit if you'd like and see a class.
Wonderful. Are there any questions?
That's not working.
Are there any questions?
I just have a comment. Bridget, we met during the hiring process and had a lot of conversation just about kind of the changes with adult ed and splitting kind of from Westbrook and Vision. And it's just really great to hear this update and hear how busy you've been. And you're a small but mighty team. So just thank you for all the effort you're putting in.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a comment. I'm a multicultural student myself. I speak 3 languages, and seeing that the multicultural and multilanguage program is expanding on so many levels is so impactful, not only to young students like myself, but also immigrants and people who do speak multiple languages who are being immersed into a new community. And I think that holds so much importance. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are welcome to stay, but you do not have to stay. All right, and as soon as I log back into my computer.
Sarah, can I maybe make a suggestion?
Sure.
I know it'd be clunky, but should we all scoot down one spot so you have a working microphone? If we shift down.
Is it still not?
Yeah, you're still not on microphone.
All right.
Be a little bit of a space between you and, or yeah,
I
switch.
think, Rhonda and I can just switch.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to 2.3 program review, presentation of budget survey data with Superintendent Perry.
Thanks. It just takes me a minute to log in here. I have to remember my password. That's always a fun one. Okay. All right, thank you. So all set? If you needed to move my stuff, just feel free to slide that down. Okay.
Thank you, though.
Yep. All right, so what I wanted to do tonight with this piece of information is to just share with the school committee and with the public that might be watching the results of a recent thought exchange survey that was sent out to the public. It was near the end of September, early part of October that the survey was sent out. We had great participation and some really good insights that came out of that survey. So I wanted to share highlights of this information with you. This is certainly not everything that was in there, but I think a good spattering of good information that'll help to inform our upcoming budget development processes. So the first thing I want you to know is that from this survey, we had a really good turnout. We had 640 participants in the survey. There was a good portion that were parent-guardian folks. There was also a good portion that were staff. And then we had a very solid proportion of the results were from community members that were not necessarily directly attached to the schools. So 640 participants overall. There was also a good distribution of folks associated with the different schools in our district. I do think that if you looked at the numbers, you could see a slight majority were associated with the middle school, high school, but then there was also a very good smattering of folks that were associated with either any of the elementary schools or district-wide. So a good, I think, distribution of relationships there. Over 72% of respondents think we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, that's what the results say. Now, the question was, how strongly do you agree with the statement? I feel the district is doing a great job, and 72% either agree or strongly disagree. Now, I will share that we did ask the 28% who did not indicate that to follow up and say why. Why did you share that maybe you weren't as positive about the outcomes from the school as others? And these are the three kind of big themes that came out of those pieces. A lot of it was around budget. Now I know that writing is a little bit small here, but I'll go through some of the highlights of that and sort of read the highlights pieces there. So again, this is of the 28% that said that strongly disagreed or disagreed with the statement. So many respondents expressed concerns about the district's budget management. They feel that funds are being misallocated with too much money spent on non-essential items and administrative costs rather than on core essential needs. There's a strong sentiment that the budget increases are unsustainable and are leading to higher taxes, which is a burden on the community. Some participants also mentioned the need for better long-term financial planning and more transparency in budget decisions. Overall, the perception is that the district needs to prioritize spending more effectively to produce educational outcomes and reduce financial strain on residents. So that was one big category of responses of concerns around budget. Another category that was pretty large around student engagement was that there was concerns, and again, I'll read the highlights here. Concerns about student engagement and the overall learning environment were also shared. Some respondents mentioned that students were often disengaged or bored, which affects their academic performance and overall school experience. There's a call for more engaging and hands-on learning activities that can keep students interested and motivated. Some participants also highlighted issues with classroom management and the need for more support staff to handle difficult classroom environments. The perception is that improving student engagement is crucial for better educational outcomes. Also, out of the 28% that gave a negative response, there was positive feedback within that as well. So despite the criticisms, there were also positive comments about the district's performance. Some respondents feel the district is doing the best it can with the resources available and appreciate the efforts of teachers and staff. There's recognition of the district's strengths in certain areas, and participants believe that the district provides a positive learning environment for students. However, even among the positive feedback, there's an acknowledgement that there's room for improvement. The overall perception is that while the district has its strengths, it needs to address specific issues to achieve greater success. And so again, that was sort of the highlights of some of those, the 28%. Also, one of the things that this is from our thought exchange software, and so one of the nice things that the software does is it's able to really utilize artificial intelligence and other things to sort of grab some really neat, unique data. And one of the things it does is it will take two kind of polarizing viewpoints within that data. And again, this was in that 28% that said that they disagreed or strongly disagreed with the statement that we were doing well, and asked sort of what are those polarizing statements, and then where's the common ground between those polarizing statements. And so I just wanted to share that there was kind of a polarizing statement around budget concerns, another polarizing statement around curriculum focus and doing a really great job in that area, but also the common ground there is a need for improvement overall. So despite differing views on budget and curriculum focus, there's common agreement that the district needs to improve in various areas. Both sides acknowledge the need for better resource allocation, enhanced academic rigor, and more effective support for students and teachers to ensure a high quality of education, or higher quality of education. So that is a little bit of that feedback. Then there was a question that was asked, do you believe our overall budget to operate schools is too high, too low, or adequate? This was an intriguing question because of the results that you see there. So basically, there were about 43% of respondents indicated that they felt the budget as it currently exists was adequate. In other words, keep it roughly the same, don't make any significant changes, it's okay where it is. So that's 43% of the respondents. Of those that sort of disagreed with that or didn't think it was adequate, about half of them thought that it was too high, and the other half felt that it was too low. So that kind of tells you where we're kind of split as a community about where we want things to go in terms of support financially for the schools. And so I think that that's an interesting piece to look at. What I think, this chart really tells us is that it's really kind of a very interesting split across the community. It tells us that our community is saying our budget is, some of them are saying, or a large portion are saying that the budget's adequate where it is, while another significant percentage wants to see increases and other significant percentage wants to see decreases. So what do we do with that? So how do we move forward with that? And I think that the piece there that I take away from that is making sure that when we're developing a budget this coming year for FY26, that it is a needs-based. In other words, you start from zero and you build up based on what you believe are the needs for the students, and needs are not wants, they're needs. And then that we try to improve the transparency of that process as much as we can. And we've always worked at the transparency, but I think we need to give another big effort in that area moving forward. And I think that's what that data is telling us that we need to focus on. When asked what the most important educational programs and services would be to prioritize for the FY26 budget, respondents said the following 5 key areas that they would like to see prioritized. And again, this is out of the whole 640 participants in the survey. So from those participants, these top 5 themes emerged from the data. In terms of prioritization, how do you prioritize scarce resources? The first one was mental health. That was the biggest area that folks felt that we needed to emphasize. Mental health support is a recurring theme among the respondents, emphasizing the need for more counselors, proactive mental health services. Participants highlight the importance of addressing students' social emotional needs, especially in the aftermath of COVID. There's a call for mental health classes, more comprehensive mental health care to ensure school safety and student well-being. And the perception is that mental health is crucial for creating a safe and supportive learning environment. Overall, the community sees mental health services as essential for student safety and success. So that's the first one. The second one was staffing. Adequate staffing is a significant concern. Many respondents calling for more teachers, counselors, support staff. Of course, those all come with price tags, as we well know. Participants stress the importance of maintaining or reducing class sizes to ensure quality education and individualized attention. There's also a focus on hiring and retaining high-quality staff, including special education, multilingual support staff. The community perceives sufficient staffing as vital for meeting diverse student needs and maintaining educational standards. Ensuring competitive pay, professional development opportunities for staff is also highlighted. So that's the second one. The third one was special education. Special ed services are frequently mentioned with a focus on increasing staff and resources to support students with special needs. Participants expressed concerns about the current strain on special education departments and the need for more inclusive practices. There's a call for reforming special ed models to better integrate students into general education settings, and the community views special education as a critical area that requires more attention and investment, ensuring that special ed students receive the necessary support as seen essential for their success. And then the fourth area of priority that comes from the budget the survey is around class size. Now, I think probably this could be connected with the earlier piece around staffing, but class size, reducing class sizes is a priority. Again, this comes from the data of the survey. For many respondents who believe that smaller class sizes lead to better student outcomes, participants argue that smaller class sizes allow for more personalized instruction, better management of student behavior. There's a concern that increasing student populations without corresponding increases in staff will negatively impact educational quality. The community perceives small class sizes as essential for effective teaching and learning. Maintaining or reducing class size is seen as a way to support both students and teachers. And then the final priority that came out of this was facilities. Improving school facilities is a common theme. As we know, it's been a common theme for many years. With that, with many responses highlighting the need for building updates, expansions, participants mentioned issues such as overcrowding, outdated infrastructure, the need for modernized learning environments. There's a call for better planning and investment in school facilities to accommodate growing student populations. The community views well-maintained and adequately sized facilities as crucial for providing a conducive learning environment. Ensuring that school buildings are safe and up to date is seen as a priority. So that is the 5 priorities that came out of that data when asked generally, what would you do or how would you prioritize funding moving forward? Then there were 10 predetermined areas that we kind of listed, just said, okay, if these were things that we wanted to focus on, could you rate them from top to bottom in terms of priority areas that you would fund? And so you can see that this is the order of 1 through 10. The first was maintaining existing staff and retention practices. The second was maintaining class sizes. The third is facilities and capital needs. And the fourth was district and school safety. And then the fifth one was mental health services for students. So I hope you see some themes there. I'll just read the first 5. There are 6 others further down in that order. But those were the top 5 priorities that were listed. Again, we created those and people just organized them based on their 10. The other one with the top 5, that was completely organic from the comments. Then we broke the survey out and had some specific questions just for staff. So this was just staff that answered. So when we went back to that original screen, it said that 40% were staff participants. I think it was 200 and something staff participants. This data is from that, okay? So this is not representative of the whole. It's representative just of the staff responses. So when we asked the staff if they felt as though they had the resources to do their jobs, 64% responded affirmatively. So that's what that says. Then we followed up with the same thing. If you disagreed or strongly disagreed with that, okay, so please tell us why, okay? And so there were 5 themes that came out of that. I'm not going to read all the paragraphs associated. I'll just read the 5 themes that were associated with the responses from staff for that question. One was that they felt that the adequate resources, that in other words, they did not feel as though they had adequate resources to perform their duties. Staffing issues. There was a lot of conversation in there about the mention and impact of staffing shortages on their ability to perform their jobs and to feel as though they were being effective in what they were being asked to do. Budget constraints. A lot of concern from staff about budget and how it's happened, how things have occurred over the past couple of years and whether or not their needs will be supported moving forward. The fourth one was support and training, needing more professional development, more specific and targeted professional development in areas that they feel need in, specifically around working with special education students and differentiation of instruction, and around multilingual learners were the 2 that kind of surfaced to the top of that. And then the last one was around special education. This one from staff was a concern. And these, by the way, were just the top 5. They are not necessarily in priority order. They're just the top 5 themes that came out of that. When they talk about special education, there was a lot of concern around staffing adequacy, mentioned the need for additional resources, support staff, the lack of support staff, as you know, we've been down support staff and under capacity so far this year with educational technicians, and I think that comes out in here from their stating their concerns and how they're trying to work with these students in an inclusive environment without the adequate resources. So that was what that was. Once again, this is like what I showed you earlier. This is like 2 sides. So adequate resources, inadequate resources, right? So this is staff that said, yeah, we've got plenty of what we need. The other side is, well, we don't have enough. And then I think the common ground, or the thing that goes in between, were the need for just both sides can agree that there's a need for more support in terms of additional staff, better training, or more consistent access to resources. They recognize that having adequate support is crucial for effectively meeting student needs, improving overall job performance, and that's the highlight of the systems to enhance student outcomes is staff. So that's that. So that's the highlights. Again, there's a lot of data that's sort of underneath that or between that or in and around that, but that's kind of the highlights of the data from that budget survey. And again, I share this with you in preparation for what we are going to be launching here very soon, which is our budget development process. I'd entertain questions.
Are there questions? Michelle.
I have a comment first and then just a general question. So the comment just being thank you for first sending out the survey. I know it was brought up to me from folks even in different communities that they saw that this was done. and tried to replicate it in other communities to solicit the feedback from folks about budget. So first, thank you for doing that. And so my question, I guess, would just be kind of a general to you. Was there anything that surprised you from, as you collated the responses, or anything that you were not expecting to see, or to see as strongly as a theme that you did see? A lot of this I know is not surprising, but just generally curious.
Yeah, in terms of surprises, I didn't see anything that I would describe as generally surprising. I think it represents very well where we've sort of felt that we are anecdotally over the past couple of years, in that we know that we see sort of increasing needs from students, which then translates into increasing needs for staff, which then increases costs, right? I mean, that's just how it works. And we've seen that sort of happening over the past several years, while at the same time we hear our constituents and understand that there's very difficult budget fiscal restraints, especially after the reevaluation that took place a couple of years ago. And so how do we balance that? Again, how do we figure out where that balance is between what those expectations are for us to provide the adequate services for our students, and how do we lower costs in trying to achieve what we know is an increasing need for students? And it's a bit of a catch-22. It's very reflective of that question that we asked, is it adequate, too high, too low, and it's split. So I think that's very reflective of where we're at and the challenges we have to face.
Thank you.
Other questions? No? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to 2.5 Program Review Code of Conduct. Superintendent Perry.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, I don't know if I can, I think I'm gonna try to download this one really quick so I can make it bigger, so hang on just a second. We'll see if this thing lets me download. There it goes. All right. I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger, and let's see if I can make this even bigger. There we go, okay. So this was something that was requested by the school committee, just an update on the work of the Code of Conduct and where that's at and how we're doing with our Code of Conduct across the schools. As folks know, or I hope they know, that we pay a lot of attention to our Code of Conduct across all 5 of our schools, and we really integrate this code into much of what we do. So what I thought I'd do is kind of take a walk through each of the 5 components of our Code of Conduct, and at the same time share a little bit about how each school emphasizes the code in their schools. So that's what we're going to do. And this is a presentation thing here, so hang on. It's a PDF. All right. So the first code that we instruct with our students quite deeply is the issue of around respect. So in our Code of Conduct, this should look familiar to you. A person who's respectful of oneself, others, and the environment strives to demonstrate polite and acceptable words, accept and appreciate individuals for who they are, treat everyone with dignity and courtesy, embrace both commonalities and differences, and they refrain from inflicting harm to self or others, verbally, digitally, physically, or emotionally, and they refrain from causing damage to property, the community, and the environment. I can see that my typing fingers are going too fast. There's a couple of typos in there. But that's our indicators for respect. And that's what we share with students. So at Great Falls, and this is a snippet around Great Falls and how they celebrate our total code, which is all 5 of our indicators. I just shared respect. There's 4 more to come. But at Great Falls, how do they value and foster the values of our Code of Conduct at Great Falls? The values of Code of Conduct are monthly grade level assemblies, character visits. It's one of our unique schools. If you ever go there, you will see Becky Fortier in her costumes. She has a costume for each of the code, the 5 pieces of our Code of Conduct, and she will visit classrooms and talk with students and do book readings and different things with students around each of the aspects of our Code of Conduct. Very well appreciated by the students. They look forward to that at all times and always are asking Becky, if she's not in her costume, where her costumes are. The Code of Conduct recognition, they have recognition awards daily for daily announcements, so they also build recognition on a monthly basis for each of the codes. So when teachers and other students catch each other kind of enacting the code, doing the, living the code, I think they call it, then you can drop their names in little baskets, and their names can get drawn for, prizes and different things at the end of each month. It's a very great thing that they do, and it's very well liked by the students. They also do deck days, drop everything and cultivate kindness, when the entire school pauses to cultivate kindness with school-wide activities and community outreach activities. So they really try to incorporate the community as well. Just the other day, for example, they had firefighters. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was at Narragansett. That's another one. I'll tell that story when I get there. Great Falls does invite community members, though, as well. They did have recently school resource officers and the Gorham PD come and talk with students about respect, which was a great one to do. So they just incorporate all that into lots of different things that they do. Honesty is the next one. Honesty is a person who is honest in all endeavors, strives to accept ownership and responsibility for one's words, actions, and behavior. They strive to tell the truth, to cultivate and foster trust in relationships, to practice integrity in actions, work, and in relationships. And they refrain from plagiarizing the work of others, engaging in deceptive behavior, blaming others, or taking the property of others. So that is what honesty kind of boils down to for us in our code of conduct. So here's how Narragansett helps bring that alive in their schools. They actively celebrate the code through engaging classroom lessons, monthly recognition assemblies that highlight the specific character trait. School activities are aligned with values outlined in the code. They have winter giving activities or initiatives, which is a named compassion campaign to promote kindness and empathy within the school. So they do various community outreach projects, like Socktober is another one that I think all 3 schools do, and they kind of align it with their code of conduct. Narragansett was the one that brought in firefighters to talk about, they actually were talking about responsibility in that one. How do you be responsible in difficult times? And so that the firefighters did a great job with that. Could have talked about courage, though. That's the next one. Courage is a third of our indicators for their code of conduct. A person who's courageous in the face of challenges strives to stand up for what is right, even when it's difficult to do, persevere in the face of challenges, advocate for self and others by seeking advice when making difficult decisions. They refrain from submitting to peer pressure, avoiding challenges, or giving up when confronted by challenges. And so courage is a big one that we talk about in our schools. How does Village then foster our code of conduct? They have also monthly celebrations, and they have morning announcements. They have monthly assemblies. They hand out stickers. This is a big one. And actually, this is now caught on with the bus drivers as well. The bus drivers now have code of conduct stickers that when they catch a student demonstrating the code of conduct, they give the student a sticker, and they can put it on there. And then students, as they walk throughout the building, other students will see they have the sticker and say, "Oh, nice job." And the teachers will say, "Oh, nice job," and different things like that. So it's really quite nice on a daily event. And Village does that, and that's spread to the buses now too, which is cool. Compassion is the next one of our indicators. A person who displays compassion for themselves and others. We added that last year. It used to be just about others, and we kind of added the themselves piece due to some of the mental health concerns that we were seeing, and just trying to build confidence and focusing on how do you build that self-confidence within each individual to overcome and persevere. So compassion is there. Those individuals strive to lead with kindness, seek understanding, show empathy, be sensitive to perspectives, needs and feelings, accept and include others, exhibit unselfish care and concern, reach out to those in need. And then they refrain from hurting others' feelings, taking advantage of others, ignoring others' pain, suffering, or needs, and putting themselves down. So that's another big one around confidence, individual confidence. The middle school, this is how the middle school brings alive our code of conduct. They're celebrating students who exemplify our code of conduct as well. They recognize students in their team assemblies or as they bring grade levels together. Teachers play a very important role individually in this recognition. They often have positive phone calls home, so they use it as a proactive method to try to call parents if they see something really positive from the students rather than the reverse, which is so unfortunately too often the case. So we try to proactively do that with the positive phone calls that are associated with code of conduct. Additionally, they have advisory periods. So advisory is a program that's first seen at the middle school level, and that's really there's an intentional sort of curriculum that's aligned with the second step curriculum. SEL focus and code of conduct are all in that advisory curriculum that students participate in at the middle school level in their advisories. And then they're going to soon be incorporating more rewards and incentives into lessons to further encourage. So they're trying to beef up a little bit more of their outward celebrations of the code of conduct at the middle school, because there was some feedback last year from families in our end of year family surveys that said, families were unsure as the students entered middle school how exactly they were celebrating the code of conduct. Unlike the elementary school, it was very obvious. So the middle school and high school are both trying to do a little bit more outward and kind of active celebrations of the code of conduct. And the last one is responsibility. A person who is responsible as an individual and as a member of the community strives to take ownership of individual behavior and learning both in person and digitally, take initiative to do the things that are expected, demonstrate accountability for their behavior, follow through on commitments, protect the community and environment, and then they refrain from projecting blame on others, taking advantage of others, ignoring duties and commitments. Boy, when you look at all those, can you just think about the workplace and where those skills come in handy, right? I mean, that's very good, and I think that's our hope is that these all translate into development of students who will be successful outside of school. The high school here gave a little bit of an overview of how they're celebrating the code of conduct. They embedded in their core values. So when you talk to the high school students, that they have that series of core values that was very much a part of their NEASC accreditation process, and they try to embed it into the culture. NEASC thought that what we have done over there at the high school was very, very good and strong in that area, but they're trying to foster understanding and more outward engagement with the code of conduct this year. They're doing twice monthly leadership team meetings, professional learning communities with staff. The social media presence has been upped at the high school, trying to really highlight students demonstrating the code of conduct in various ways, and regular showcasing students embodying that code in lots of different ways with students and among students, but also with the community, and celebrating individual and collective achievements that reflect that spirit of the code of conduct. So those are some areas that they try to focus on, basically showing outwardly to students and community, our students actually actively doing the code of conduct in their work. And there's a whole other thing here too. This is stuff that they're looking at establishing. They've established a RAM award to honor the unsung heroes who exemplify the core values that we just listed. So they're going to have nominations on a monthly basis for a RAM award. That's going to be very similar to, actually, it sounds similar to what the elementary schools do on the monthly celebration of code. And so that's going to be something they focus on. Yeah, and then I'm not going to read that whole paragraph. You guys can read just fine, but I think that's really trying to do some more outward stuff with students, part of assemblies, part of advisory, and incorporating it into those. Okay. That's it. So anything that you'd like to have for questions around our code of conduct and how it's being implemented in our schools?
Questions from the committee?
I just have a comment. I did have a little 8-year-old who came home with a certificate for honesty, which is interesting because that's not always what happens at home, but I'm glad she's doing it at school. But I think what's really great about that, even with those kindness notes, is that she also talked about how she recognized another friend for something kind that they did. So it's not only, I think, making them feel good when they receive those notes, but also for when they give them too, which I think is just really important, that it's kind of that two-way street and bi-directional, that they can emphasize those pieces of kindness. So
yeah, and flex those voices that they're learning how to use. Yeah, that's good.
Any other questions or comments? No, seeing none. Thank you very much. We'll move on. And moving on to 3.0 communications, 3.1 public comment. If there's any member of the public wishing to make public comment, you can make your way to the podium. And I do just want to make sure everybody understands this is the only opportunity for public comment during the meeting. So, okay. Seeing none, we will go back to my file. Move on to 3.2 student school committee members.
Okay, starting off, this weekend we had our fall play, The Crucible, which opened, and on behalf of the theater department and myself, we greatly appreciate all the love and support that was shown to us this weekend. And rehearsals for our musical Little Shop of Horrors will be starting at the end of this week, along with practices and tryouts for winter sports. And of course, congratulations to our girls volleyball team for winning state championships this year. Amazing. And our civil rights team hosted the annual Day of Welcome on November 8th. On Election Day, NHS members volunteered as poll workers from October 30th to Election Day. And here we processed absentee ballots and helped manage the voting process. And it was an amazing opportunity to gain insight on the voting process and just how our voices and our actions can strengthen our understanding of America's democracy. And GHS students, a part of the Student Council, met with Superintendent Perry on November 5th to provide feedback on our school system and ways to improve it. And looking a little bit ahead, students, a part of the Safe Bay Club, will be meeting with Mr. Donahue to review and discuss any changes undergone to Title IX and its importance to our safety as students. And this weekend, on Saturday, we had a very successful inaugural Taste of Nations, and it definitely strengthened our rapidly expanding multicultural community at Gorham. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to 3.3, Superintendent.
Yeah, so just a few items, especially as we enter into our budget development cycles as a school committee. I want you to be aware that there's a lot of conversation happening at the Department of Education level, at the state level, around EPS funding, around the state's commitments to the schools and education. The governor is very much committed to maintaining 55% of funding moving forward. However, what they're experiencing is kind of the cliff that we've all sort of worked our way through as a school system. Mostly at this point in time, they're just a little bit behind us in this at the state level around the federal funds that were part of the COVID relief packages. And so those are running out. And so some of the special projects and different things that the state had done through those funds are things that are not going to be able to be upheld. And so just being mindful of that as we go forward. I think that there's going to be some impacts there auxiliary to, I don't think it's going to impact our direct subsidy because they're very much committed, again, as I said, to the 55% piece, but it may impact in auxiliary kinds of ways on other areas. So just being mindful of that. Also, I wanted to let the school committee know that Maine School Management Association is researching the potential to become a third-party private provider to the newly required state Paid Family Medical Leave Act. As you know, that law is kicking into effect, and we're going to have to start paying towards the Paid Family Medical Leave Act at the state level as employers, even in a public system, employing folks with public dollars. We still are required to pay into this system. So please stay tuned. They're hoping that they could become a third-party provider at a cheaper or lesser rate. And if that's the case, we will certainly jump on board. But so we're just sort of keeping our eyes open and trying to gauge that as we go forward. I will tell you, as again a precursor to our budget development processes, that as a reminder, when we looked at the cost implications last year in our budget development process, knowing that we had another year yet to have before we had to budget, if we budget for 0.5% of our teachers' salaries, you're talking about $110,000 that we're going to need to add to the budget. As a result of that, if we budget for the 1%, that would be $220,000 that we would have to budget for because of the state mandate associated with paid family medical leave. So there are distinct financial implications to this. We're going to need to make sure that we keep our eyes open moving forward with this topic. Also, just a reminder, I think I've reminded folks enough, but let's make sure I remind you one more time. Tomorrow night will be our kickoff to the Dessert and Discuss. That's what we call our kickoff to our budget development processes in the school committee. It's a dessert and discuss meeting, which just means we break in the middle of it and we have dessert together. So, and the public's invited. So if you'd like to come and experience that, you certainly may. It starts at 6:30 tomorrow evening in the high school library, and it'll go probably a good portion of time into the evening, where each of our program directors and principals will present information that we feel is important for the school committee to have as information as we're working to build our budget. Personnel information updates, we have 2 open ed tech positions at this time. That's down by 4. We were at 6, so that's good. We're making some progress there, but we're still down staffing in special education with educational technicians. So if you know everybody that's looking for a position, please point them in my direction. We're also down 2 full-time bus drivers and 1 spare. We continue to use contracted services providers to offset open routes on a daily basis so we can still maintain transportation to our schools for our students. The good news is we do have 3 drivers in the pipeline for training, so we're hoping that as we move through the year, those positions will be plugged as well. I think I'm going to skip around a little bit here. I did want to just extend my also congratulations to the volleyball team for their state championship. But broader than that, I want to extend my congratulations to all of our Gorham High School athletes in the fall athletic programs. They represent our community so very well. not just here at home, but also when they travel to away games. I always am constantly getting comments from spectators and other community members in outside communities saying that our students really try to work hard to uphold our code of conduct, even on the athletic fields. So they really represent us well, and all of our teams made it into the playoffs. They didn't all win the state championship, but that's okay. They did a great job representing our community, so kudos to them.
All right. Any questions for the superintendent? No? Seeing none, we'll move on to 3.4, school committee. Stuart, we'll start over there. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay. I'm not used to sitting down here and being first. I don't have much tonight. I just do want to congratulate both Nicole and Eric. Look forward to working with you guys this year and see what we can accomplish.
All right, Eric.
For those of you that I haven't yet met, my name is Eric Thistle, recently elected, and I look forward to getting to work. Thank you.
Michelle?
I just have a couple of things. So first I'll say congrats to Nicole and to Eric, so welcome. I wanted to note, I mentioned this last time, but there is a series that's happening in conjunction the school and a small group around the book, The Anxious Generation. There have been 2 meetings so far. I unfortunately missed the second one, which I think was last night, but it's been a really great discussion with a lot of parents of children from varying ages, some that are not even in our schools yet. And so I've participated, like I mentioned in the first, and been a great discussion. So I just wanted to note that there's a third meeting that's, I think, intended to be in person on December 2nd. So for those who are interested, I don't have the location or time yet, but I'm sure that will be shared online on social media. So we can get that information. And then I just wanted to make a note to the public. Thank you to those who turned out to vote in the election. But mostly just wanted to thank those that supported the bond package. I know that we did have a package that did not pass, but the big one did. And I've spent a lot of time analyzing our numbers in the past couple of years, and in my opinion, that was a much needed item, and I'm just very thankful to our community for their support.
Nicole?
Great, thank you. Thanks to everyone for their support on this board and for our community members for entrusting me for 3 more years on this board. I appreciate that. I want to put in a little bit of plug for our backpack program for the month of November. There are a few items that you can donate, which include canned tuna, chicken noodle soup, and Chef Boyardee. Those items can be dropped off at the Gora Middle School, but we always really appreciate any support that we can get. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mia?
Couple of shouts out to the high school and village. They started their Adopt a Classroom program, which is a great collaborative way for the schools to work together. And they're doing a game day. The middle school is doing a week of gratitude, which sounds amazing. I'd love to hear how that plays out. They're also having a bingo tomorrow night, which I totally would have crashed that party if I didn't have the dessert and discuss, because I do love a good round of bingo.
Don't forget 55 and up play for free if they go Thursday night.
I would be free.
You would, yeah.
I'd be free. Congratulations to 2 village students, Lydia and Bryce. They're 2 third-grade students who spoke to over 500 Maine business leaders at the Junior Achievement Hall of Fame event. So congratulations to those kiddos.
All right, Jen.
I was able to attend the Crucible this weekend, and it was fabulous. If you have not been to one of Gorham High School's or Gorham Middle School's plays, you must attend. You don't know what you're missing. The talent is incredible, but the sets, the lighting, you really feel like you are on Broadway, and you did amazing. Thank you. And then there was, and I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out to vote. It was really exciting to be at the polls. It was packed. I really wish we could have this every year and in June. Remember, you can still vote in June. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, everyone. I will just add my thanks to all of the poll workers for making it all run so smoothly. So thank you. We'll move on now to 4.0 School Committee Standing and Special Committees, 4.1 Finance and Facilities. Stuart?
Thank you. We met on October 23rd. We started out with a really good discussion with a couple of guests on things that we could do, both as a school and town to improve walkability and bikeability for our schools, especially in the village area. And so, we came up with some interesting and different ideas to kind of try to work that into our facilities plans. And so, we'll continue to work with town council and amongst the facilities committee to develop those plans and bring those forward and see what we can do to try to make the village area and our schools a little bit more friendly to walkers and bikers. We did discuss a propane rebate program. The cliff notes on that is that we have an opportunity to get some money back for propane that we're purchasing. So that'll be money that we can add back in. And then we did have the brief discussion of bringing the 10-year capital plan back up for discussion. With some new developments, programs that didn't get approved for bond funding. We're going to work that in and start looking at the next 10 years and see how that all plays out and where our needs are, so that we're ready to make those requests when appropriate. And then the next Finance Committee meeting is going to be November 26th at 6 o'clock. That'll be at Village Elementary School.
Okay, any questions for Stuart? Okay, seeing none, moving on, 4.2 policy, also Stuart.
Thank you. So we talked about the facilities use policy, which is up for a second read tonight. There weren't any changes or requests for that policy. And then we also talked, we had 4 policies that we've been working on, so changes that were required because of changes to Title IX rules. So those are up for first read tonight, and we'll review those later on in the agenda. The next policy meeting will be November 26th at 6 p.m. At Village Elementary School.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, moving on to personnel, which has not met since the last meeting. A new meeting will be scheduled soon to rework the goals for the 2024-2025 for the school committee once new membership has been completed. 4.4, vocational education. Jen.
Okay, yes. So our last meeting was Thursday, October 10th, 8:30 to 10:30. That was at Pat's. And 2 things really stood out to me in this meeting. One was that the number of GORM students at Pat's has increased from last year, which is wonderful. The programs are so great that we have this opportunity for our students. But the second thing this was one of the first times that I've seen a student attend this meeting, and it was so informative. It was a student that was multilingual, and the student had played a vital role in, they have a kindergarten program at the school, and there was a student that does not speak English, and this high school student was able to really develop a great relationship with the student and really make the process smooth, and we just got to learn a lot about that program. But what stood out in particular to me is that when somebody asked the student what they wanted to do post-graduation, he said, "I would love to become a teacher, but I just don't feel like I could make a living." So he's going into nursing. And that really hit me, obviously, being on school committee, but I think it's something that we're going to be hearing more and more, and I think we see this, right, with our numbers of students coming from higher education. So just something that I thought I would share. Usually I like to share positive things from these meetings, but I think this was just very important for us to know.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Jen? No? Okay. Next up, 4.5, our ad hoc committees, Gorham Teaching and Learning, Superintendent Perry.
Yeah, I'll take care of this one. Anne was there, and it was just before she technically came off the school committee. So, but please know that it was a great meeting. It was the first official meeting of the Teaching and Learning Committee for the year. The focus of this meeting was on our Metrics for Success document, and it was kind of rolling out the purpose of the work for the coming year on that document. So this committee is going to be tasked with looking at our metrics for success, how we measure success in our district, and ask the questions: Is this document what we want it to be right now? Is it measuring the right things, and is it measuring them appropriately? Are we getting the results that we want to get out of that process? And so that's a question that this committee is going to be focused on for the coming year, and any suggested revisions to our metrics of success will be brought to the school committee later this spring, and it might be something that kind of hits over in the summer and that we deal with, more directly in the fall of next year. But so that information is coming to the school committee.
Any questions?
Oh, sorry. I was supposed to say the next meeting, December 12th at 3:30 via Zoom.
Okay. Next up, Anti-Racism and Equity Committee, Nicole.
So our last meeting was October 17th. This was our first meeting of the school year. So we spent the majority of the meeting kind of going through introductions, welcoming new members. We did a little review of the why and a little bit of the history of the group, and spent some time at the end doing a little bit of discussion around some goals. So kind of thinking about different things that we can continue to do, talking about carrying on our Eat and Learn event that we've done for the past 2 years, talking about amplifying student voice, and completing work on our equity toolkit, and possibly looking at an equity calendar. So we will have our next meeting on December 19th, 5:30 at the high school library.
All right, questions? No. Dropout Committee, Mia.
I was able to attend the meeting that took place this past Tuesday. We had representation from the K-5 group, middle school, the high school, adult ed, and district-wide. We discussed the successes and the challenges in the year so far. And the next meeting hasn't been scheduled yet, but it's likely to be in January.
Okay. Questions? No? Okay. Alternative Education Vision Committee, Superintendent Perry?
Yes, really briefly, once again, Anne was at this meeting, so she's transitioned off the committee at this point, so I'll provide the update. But briefly, this group met. We're working on a draft vision statement for our alternative education programs that would be shared with the school committee. We did some really great work on sort of outlining what our program should look like. The next step is to dive into things like how our programs are structured, how do students come in and out of the programs, and then transition strategies specifically between the various programs at the elementary, middle school, and high school, and then how those students transition into post-secondary. And so those will be the focus points of our discussions at the next meeting, which will be coming up on, let's see, that's November 21st at 3:30 at the middle school library.
Questions? Seeing none. Fiscal Sustainability Committee, Michelle.
Yes, we held our last meeting on October 28th. The focus of that meeting was really on the vision for the strategic financial plan. So we started with some information from the town manager just around other municipal examples. And then I was able to actually present for a significant portion of that meeting some of the information that I was able to present to you all in the prior workshop that we had. And so we had a really great discussion around looking back at that data set, which is for the public just to be aware, an analysis that I have done going back 10 years on the full town budget, so both the municipal and the school holistically. It led to a really great conversation about key performance indicators and how we may want to monitor those to help us kind of in communication about budget topics back to the community. And so that's where the conversation will be going next, is kind of revisiting those KPIs and seeing what next steps we want to take for recommendations to reduce expenses and increase revenue. revenue. So our next meeting is going to be on November 21st at, I believe, 6 p.m. Here in the conference room.
It's at 6:30.
6:30, sorry. And then since we have the public here, we do have additional meetings scheduled. I'm just going to list the dates real quick for you all. So we have December 12th, January 16th, February 10th, and March 10th for the public that's interested to attend.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you. I will also go out on a limb here, Michelle, and say that anyone interested in getting more information about all of your analysis can reach out to you using your email on our school committee website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Moving on, 5.0 unfinished business, 5.1 second reading of the facilities use policy KF. Stuart?
Thank you. As I mentioned before, we didn't have any other requests for any additions or revisions. This policy was updated just to include a couple of things, including the addition of a new category of community arts and nonprofits, some language around required insurance, and just a couple of updates throughout for school committee members. Those are all highlighted throughout the policy that you have in front of you. And with no other changes, the policy is ready to be adopted.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve a policy KF, facilities use policy, for second and final reading as presented.
Okay, motion by Stuart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Michelle. Discussion. All right, seeing none, all those in favor? 6. All those opposed? All those abstaining? 1. All right, 6.0 new business, 6.1 action is needed on communication and reports, 6.2 sharing of budget target Q&A document.
Yeah, so I'm just going to point this out. It is linked into your agendas. It certainly is something also that is publicly available for folks to view if they want to. It's a corresponding document that's kind of a living document on Google Drive that we're going to use for school committee members. As you know, one of the major things that you're going to get ready to do here pretty soon is on November 26th, you're going to need to establish some sort of a budget target for me to try to hit as I'm building this initial first budget that will be presented to you in early February. So we've been talking about data. We've shared Michelle's information. I've also shared information around some big ticket, percentage items and some trends that we've seen in data. But this document is intended to, you've got that information that was shared previously. You're going to have the dessert and discuss information that's going to be shared with you tomorrow night. And then this document is, okay, what more information do you need that I can provide to you that will help you to inform your decision about a target on the 26th of November. And again, this is a public document, so just write your question and I'll be responding publicly the answers, whatever those are. And that's something that we can also share with the public transparently as we're sharing information about how we develop our budget. So that link is there, and so feel free to use it as we go. Ideally, in order to have that information for us on the 26th, by when would you like folks to try to have entered their questions? Well, I'm thinking that probably the 25th would not be good. So thank you for that piece. I would say, though, I'm a person that is pretty diligent in getting things taken care of. So I would say probably that 21st or 22nd at the absolute latest, which would be the Friday before. So 22nd at the absolute latest, please. Okay. And then I'm assuming after that we can still continue to pose questions. You just may not have all of the answers put together in time for the 26th. Absolutely. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on that? No. Okay. Moving on, 6.3, first reading of the following policies: non-discrimination, equal opportunity, and affirmative action policy AC, harassment of students policy ACAA, harassment of employees policy ACAB, and pregnant students policy JIE. Stuart?
Thank you. So as I mentioned before, these policies are being updated due to changes in Title IX. You will see that these policies that are provided to you guys are a little bit different than what you normally see. because you don't see any changes on them because the whole policy has been completely rewritten because of the amount of changes. So to make sure that it's updated to what is currently required, it made more sense to redo the whole thing instead of trying to change and being able to track all of those changes. I will ask the superintendent if we could get the old policies put into the folder. I noticed those aren't in there, so just so everybody can compare between the two.
Absolutely.
They are available online, but it might be easier to find those if we had those. So if you guys have any questions, these are policies because they revolve a lot around legal statute. These policies are pretty specific and provided under the guidance of our attorneys. So if you have questions about them, we can get answers for the committee. If you'd like to look at possible changes, the policy committee can review that. It might be a little bit longer before that comes for a second read if we do have to make changes, because those all have to be run through legal before those can be adopted. And the last one to note, the pregnant students policy is actually a new policy to the department, to the district, so we won't have one to compare that to.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, with that, we are at 7.0, adjourn, and we'll adjourn the meeting. It's 8:25.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.